think one of the key ideas that I've been thinking about is that these network technologies, what they have in common is they're a new form of coordination. So when you look at Airbnb, there have always been B&Bs, and we had increasingly we did have some methods in the early days of the web, coming up to the present, where there were sites like HomeAway or even on TripAdvisor somebody would discover a location. But Airbnb takes it to a new hyper level of sort of a flow of product into the market, a flow of customers into the market, much lower barriers to entry. In a similar way, Uber and other services like it, reinventing, casual, occasional transportation. And the thing that strikes me the most when I talk to Uber drivers is, first of all, they set their own hours. And they'll often say how much they like it better than being a cab driver. Many of them are former cab drivers, although many are also people who are entering the market because they have a new opportunity. And they're tending to serve markets that are underserved. But most importantly, the capacity of the system is so much greater because of the ease of the network. How many people here have used Uber? You guys know, it's like there are times when you will use it when you would never have called a cab because it was unreliable. And now you know how long it's going to take. You can follow the progress of the driver. The drivers can figure out in real time where the passengers who are looking for them actually are rather than driving around aimlessly hoping they find them. So we have a new method of network coordination that allows for a vast expansion of the market. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that. We're going to be discovering new ways to reinvent industries through the addition of information. And coming back to Ping's comments, there's a guy named Liam Casey who runs PCH International company that is a sort of a supplier connector out of China for a lot of components and so on. They're a supplier of the maker movement. He has a great line about his business. He said, "We replace inventory with information." And that's kind of a theme throughout all of this. Anyway, I'm jumping ahead of things. I want to go over to John. And you're kind of the grandfather of thinking about this space. And I'd love to have you just kind of take it wherever you want.
So I'll make a couple opening comments. First of all, I want to come back to your stuff, because if you were here to the prior session, it's interesting to see that Airbnb is not meant to replace hotels. It's meant to complement it in various ways. 3D printing is a complementary technology and capability that could be complementing more normal massive scale manufacturing. So we're looking at this new economy as things that are filling in interesting holes and then see how each learns from each other in terms of the final morphing that's really happening. But I'm going to come back to the learning issue, because I think it's fair to say that the half-life of virtually any major skill today is about 5 years. Now think about that. If it's really 5 years, that means that most of the learning we're going to have to do is going to be done outside of the school system. It's going to be done in the workplace. It's going to be done in the social spaces. It's going to be done in the community libraries. It's going to be done in the communities, and so on and so forth. So your network coordination tools are the things that really allow us to take seriously how do you have kind of an honest approach toward lifelong learning, or a path of life, learning. And I think the catch here is what really happened is we moved from thinking about teaching as imparting information to learning as a learner-centric point of view. And then we can actually go back to one of the greatest educators this last century's ever seen, John Dewey, who makes a major point that you actually learn by doing.
Yeah.
But the amazing thing is, today we have incredible tools for 10-year-olds, 20-year-olds, and even 70-year-olds to be able to go off and do things through these coordination structures. Mm-hmm. So don't laugh, but think about eHarmony, a dating software. The matching algorithms underlying eHarmony lets us match the best tutors for a particular kid has a particular kind of learning style in order to pick up a new skill. I'm watching this in Master Chess, where we have these kids that are now almost all having their coaches around the world, but they get hooked up by looking at the path of play, which has always been recorded now by the machines. Also, we were getting at earlier today. You can now do a kind of a data analytics and machine learning on that data, that we can actually get rid of standardized testing. We have a much better microscopic insight into how this person is working.
Yeah.
But we can also now couple this person's learning styles and misconceptions up to an ideal tutor someplace in the world for that particular next episode.
But even when it's not an in-person tutor and it's just, for example, a Khan Academy video, there is this ability to assess the learner. I went to look at a Khan Academy video. I was looking for something on statistics, and I was really surprised that they've come a long way. They started asking me a bunch of simple math questions before they even show me the video, to figure out if I knew enough to actually be able to understand it. And so, you know, we really are in this world where we're able to personalize a lot more, and where we're able to deliver things in real time. Now, you know, YouTube, incredible resource. You did a great, told a great opening story in your book with John Hagel a few years ago, The Power of Pull.
On surfing.
Yeah, about kids, you know, both becoming, how they learned to surf by watching YouTube videos, how they increased their skills, but also how then they themselves became the subject. You know, the apprentices became the teachers through that same method, and that whole concept of user-centric, you know, learner-centric.
And collaborative reflection on the behaviors.
Yeah.
It became very, very powerful. But it, you know, think about it a moment. If in fact we're going to have to be relearning skills so much, that means whatever techniques we use have to honor what we already know. That immediately blows it out of most of the approaches to education.
Yeah.
I think this point John makes is super important, and actually the work that the Markle group has done, and actually some groups that I'm working on at the White House, are all concluding that this idea of matching things together, using the network to do it at the scale of the economy, is really going to be central to fixing this problem of wasting the talents and the investment in classic education that is evident today.
I think how it changes my own sense of self. I'm being honored for what I know, but having to be able to credential.
Right.
And so these systems can figure that out.
So getting these things, the other thing that's really interesting is that if you sit down and ask somebody, you know, to describe themselves, they never do a very good job. And if you ask small businesses in particular to sit down and describe the employees they need, they never do a very good job. And yet, this instrumentation we're doing on everybody's life, you know, whether it's while you're being educated or watching movies or writing or, you know, programming or whatever it is. I mean, the degree to which that is now instrumented gives us the basis of creating an understanding that's even better than what the people know themselves. And out of that should come a level of fit that we've just never known.